You think starting over means you lost. You think the fact that you need a reset means something went wrong, that you failed, that you are behind, that other people your age have already figured it out and somehow you missed the memo. But here is what I need you to hear right now before anything else. Starting over is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of awareness. And awareness, real, honest, courageous awareness, is the rarest and most powerful thing a human being can possess. The most transformed people in the world did not have perfect starts. They had honest restarts. And in the next 30 minutes here at the Shetty Mindset, I am going to show you exactly how to use the next 6 months to completely reset your life, your identity, your energy, and your future. Stay with me. Because what I share in part 3 will completely change how you see yourself and what you are actually capable of. Here is why this matters right now, and I mean right now. A study published by the American Psychological Association found that over 68% of adults between the ages of 25 and 45 report feeling significantly off track from the life they had imagined for themselves, and that most of them have felt that way for more than 2 years without taking meaningful action. 2 years of knowing, of waiting, of hoping things would just shift on their own. They did not shift, because life does not reset by accident. Life resets by decision. 6 months is not a long time. It is 26 weeks. It is 180 days. Neuroscientists at University College London found that meaningful behavioral change, the kind that rewires neural pathways and produces lasting results, requires a minimum of 66 days of consistent new behavior. Not 21, not a week, 66 days. 6 months gives you that, nearly 3 times over. In this video, I am going to walk you through 5 essential parts of a complete life reset. We will talk about what is actually keeping you stuck. We will talk about identity, the invisible force that controls everything. We will talk about building a new daily architecture. We will talk about protecting your energy like it is sacred. And we will talk about momentum and how to make it irreversible. Stay with me until the end. Because part 5, the one about momentum, contains the single most important insight in this entire video, and most people never reach it. Let us begin. You have been carrying something. Not a bag, not a problem, something heavier than that. You have been carrying a version of yourself that no longer fits, a version built from old decisions, old environments, old relationships, old fear, and you have been wearing it like it is permanent. It is not permanent, but here is the truth that most people are not told. The reason you feel stuck is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not that you lack potential. Research from Stanford's Department of Behavioral Psychology shows that the primary reason people stay stuck is not a lack of motivation. It is a lack of identity clarity. They do not know who they are trying to become, so their brain defaults to protecting who they already are. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what brains do, defending the known, protecting the familiar, choosing the certain over the possible. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are." That is the first act of a reset. Not a new planner, not a new morning routine. Looking things in the face, your current reality, the choices that got you here, the patterns that keep repeating, and seeing them clearly. Think about a house that has been renovated badly. The walls have been painted over and over. The problems, the cracks, the moisture, the damaged foundation, they have been covered, not fixed, covered. And one day, no matter how many coats of paint, the damage underneath makes itself known. You cannot reset a life by painting over it. You reset it by seeing the foundation clearly first. So ask yourself this, right now, and really sit with it. What have you been painting over? What is the one truth about your current life that you have been refusing to look at directly? Because that truth, the one that makes you slightly uncomfortable right now, that is the beginning of your reset. And if you have felt this weight for a long time without knowing why, you were not weak. You were carrying what no one told you how to put down. But here is what nobody tells you. The weight does not leave on its own. You have to choose to set it down, consciously, deliberately, and with the full understanding that lightness will feel strange at first. That is part 1. Now let us go deeper. Your biggest obstacle in this reset is not your circumstances. It is your self-concept. Your self-concept is the collection of beliefs you hold about who you are, what you are capable of, what you deserve, what kind of person you have decided you are. And here is the devastating thing about self-concept. It is usually formed before the age of 12, by the opinions of parents who were doing their best, by teachers who were overwhelmed, by childhood environments that were never designed to tell you the full truth of your potential. And then for the next 3, 4, 5 decades, you live out that early programming. Not because it is true, but because it is familiar. Dr. Joe Dispenza, drawing on research in neuroscience and quantum biology, writes that most people think between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day, and that 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts they had the day before. We are not thinking. We are remembering. We are replaying the same mental loops on autopilot, producing the same emotional states, making the same decisions, and then wondering why life looks the same year after year. The Stoics called this the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, the inner voice that narrates your life. The Stoics understood that if you do not take control of that inner voice, circumstance will write your story for you. Here is an analogy. Imagine a river. A river does not fight to find its path. It follows the channel carved before it. The deeper the channel, the more automatic the flow. Your thoughts, your habits, your default responses, they are rivers running in channels carved years ago. A reset does not block the river. It carves a new channel. And carving a new channel requires one thing above all: a new identity statement. Not a goal, not a vision board. An identity, not I want to be disciplined, but I am someone who moves with discipline. Not I want to be focused, but I am someone who protects their focus. Not I want to build something, but I am a builder. The moment you change the I am, everything downstream changes. What identity have you been living from that is no longer aligned with who you want to become? And if you have felt like you keep starting over and never arriving, you are not broken. You are running from the wrong identity. It was never yours to begin with. You are not behind. You are becoming. And this next part, this is the part that will shift everything for you. Because knowing the identity is one thing, building the daily structure that lives it, that is where the real transformation begins. Every life is a building, and every building is only as strong as its daily architecture, the invisible structure of choices, routines and systems that either build you up or quietly tear you down. Most people who want to reset their lives think big. They imagine the destination, the body, the career, the peace, the abundance. They can see the finished building clearly. What they cannot see is that buildings are not built in visions. They are built brick by brick, minute by minute, decision by decision. Research from the British Journal of General Practice demonstrates that daily routines are not just productivity tools, they are psychological anchors. In periods of life transition and reset, people who maintain structured daily rituals experience 43% less anxiety and report significantly higher levels of self-efficacy. Structure is not a cage. In a reset, structure is freedom. Here is what your first 90 days of architecture must include. The morning ritual. The first 60 minutes of your day are sacred. Not for your phone, not for the news, not for other people's urgency. The first hour is yours. Use it to center, to ground yourself in your new identity before the world tries to remind you of the old one. Movement, silence, intention. The one priority rule. Every day, identify the single most important action that moves your reset forward. Not 5, not 10. The person who does one aligned thing daily for 180 days builds more than the person who does scattered bursts of energy once a week. Focus consistency is not glamorous. It is everything. The evening reflection. Every reset requires a daily accounting. 5 minutes at the end of your day. What did I do that aligned with the person I am becoming? What pulled me back to the old version? What do I carry into tomorrow? This is not journaling for inspiration. This is engineering for transformation. As the ancient Pythagoreans would ask each evening, where have I gone wrong? What have I accomplished? What duty left undone? Not as punishment, as calibration. Think about a ship. A ship sailing from London to New York is off course 90% of the time. Wind, current, and wave constantly push it off its path. But the captain corrects, constantly, consistently, without drama. Small corrections every single day. and the ship arrives. Your corrections are your daily architecture. You do not need a perfect day. You need a corrected one. What is the one architectural change, just one, that would most powerfully support your reset starting tomorrow? And if you have tried routines before and they collapsed, you are not lacking discipline. You are building for the wrong identity. The identity comes first. The architecture follows. Stay with me, because what I am about to share is the most important insight in this entire video, and it has to do with the one resource that, if you protect it fiercely, will make everything else in your reset possible. Here is something that will stop you mid-reset if you are not prepared for it. Your environment will resist your growth. Not out of malice, not because the people around you are bad, but because when you begin to change, truly change, you become a mirror. You remind the people who love you of what they have not yet chosen. And mirrors make people uncomfortable. You will feel the pull, the old conversations, the old environments, the old patterns with familiar people. You will feel the gravitational pull of the version of you that everyone around you still sees. And that pull, that invisible social gravity, is one of the most powerful forces working against your reset. A landmark study from Harvard Medical School, spanning 32 years and over 12,000 participants, found that your health, your happiness, and your behaviors are directly influenced by people up to 3 degrees of separation away from you. Not just your close friends. They're friends' friends. The emotional environment you swim in shapes you at a biological level, changing gene expression, cortisol levels, and neural patterning. You cannot think your way out of a toxic environment. You must engineer your way out of it. This does not mean abandoning everyone you love. It means being intentional about your exposure. It means recognizing that your energy, your mental, emotional, and physical energy is the fuel of your entire reset. Without it, nothing else works. Jay Shetty writes, protect your energy, not selfishly, but sacredly, because you cannot pour from an empty vessel, and you cannot build a new life from a depleted self. Think about fire. Fire requires oxygen. Without oxygen, fire cannot exist regardless of fuel quality or ignition. Your focus, discipline, and intentional action are the fuel of your reset. Your energy is the oxygen. If the environment drains the oxygen, no spark will catch. Audit your energy. For the next 7 days, after every interaction, every conversation, every environment, every piece of content you consume, ask yourself, did that add to me or take from me? Did I leave that feeling more like the person I am becoming, or less? You do not need to make dramatic announcements. You do not need to burn bridges. You simply begin to make different choices, quietly, consistently, and without apology. And if people have told you that you changed, that you are different now, and they said it like it was a criticism, you were not wrong to change. That was your soul answering a call that your environment was trying to silence. Change. Deliberately, unapologetically, sacredly. And here is what nobody tells you about protecting your energy during a reset. It does not just remove resistance, it creates momentum. And momentum, true, compounding, irreversible momentum, is the final and most powerful force we are going to talk about right now. There is a law in physics called the law of inertia. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. This law was written about planets and projectiles, but it is the most accurate description of human transformation ever captured. For the first weeks of your reset, it will be hard, not because you are doing it wrong, because you are fighting inertia. You are moving a life that has been at rest, and rest does not give up easily. But here is the extraordinary truth about momentum. It compounds. Every single day that you honor your new identity, every morning ritual completed, every aligned decision made, every distraction declined, every hour spent building rather than escaping, those actions accumulate. They layer. They reinforce each other. Research from MIT's Behavioral Economics Lab demonstrates that consistent small actions activate what scientists call identity-consistent behavior spiraling. Meaning that once a person begins acting in alignment with a new identity, each aligned action makes the next aligned action exponentially easier. The behavior begins to sustain itself. This is what the ancient Stoics called eudaimonia, Not happiness as an emotion, but flourishing as a way of being. A life in motion. A life that generates its own forward energy. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." First say, then do. That is the sequence. That is the whole system. Here is the analogy. Think about a flywheel, the massive heavy disc used in industrial machines. The first rotations require enormous